And so I invite you to take things out of your lap and get your feet firmly planted on the floor. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. We're going to begin taking some deep breaths together, breathing in and breathing out. Letting that breath of God breathe us to a place of quiet and stillness where we can feel that peace of God that we are. Breathing in and breathing out, we feel our shoulders relaxing as we just allow the chair to support us. Now I invite you to bring into your mind something that is currently in your life that is like a project that you're working on. It's something that you feel you have barriers to completion of. You might call it a challenge. You might call this thing a situation. Whatever it is that could be holding you back from your current good, I invite you to picture that now in your mind. And we're going to see it as a huge wall. We're going to see whatever this is in our lives as a big wall, whether it's wooden or brick. You see it in your own mind as you choose fit. It looks big. It looks daunting, this wall. You can't climb over it. You can't go around it. So you, in your creative imagination, gather up your painting materials and you go to the middle of the wall and you paint a door with a door handle. And not only that, but you paint a red exit sign over that door. Now you put your painting supplies away and you go and you open the door and you walk through the wall, leaving behind that thing which you thought was such a barrier in your life. Just feel what it feels like to leave behind that thing that felt like such a huge obstacle in your life. Because now that you have created this new way of seeing it, you're seeing it behind you, not in front of you. You're walking away from it, and there are things opening up for you, opportunities that you never dreamed possible before, because you only could see the wall. And so I invite you into a moment of silence to feel that feeling of relief and to think about what next steps you will be allowed as you leave that barrier behind you in the silence. This is what we know to be true. There is nothing that can stop you from your good. The good that is part of your life is coming to you and through you. Spirit is tapping and knocking and always wanting to guide and direct you for the right and perfect places, for the right and perfect relationships. Simply have to be who we came here to be, these powerful, magnificent beings that have this power of creative imagination to see things differently, to see things with our spiritual eyes. And so I invite you to remember that you can choose to see this differently. You can choose to see anything that feels like a barrier as a new opportunity, a new beginning, a new way of being. And so with that spirit of gratitude in our hearts, the knowing that because we are the presence and the power of God, and because we are expressions come here to be God on this planet, there's no reason for worry or concern. And so we let it go. And we allow our attention to come back into this room with our hearts filled with gratitude. We say, thank you, indwelling Spirit, for this sweet reminder. We are so grateful. And so it is, and so we choose it to be. Whenever you're ready, just open your beautiful eyes. I would like to dedicate this service today in memory of Tom Lewin, who made his transition early this morning. He was a dear member of this congregation for many years. He was our paver guy. He is the one that created most of the stones that are in our memorial walkway. He is very much loved by this congregation, and we send our love to his 2 daughters and his 2 sons and all of the family that is grieving for him this day. It is also the beginning of Memorial Day weekend. And so here today in this moment, as we prepare for this weekend, we know that we are in our hearts and in our minds honoring all those veterans who gave their lives, all of those people in military service who gave their lives for our country. In service, they made the ultimate sacrifice. And so we honor all of those veterans who lost their lives protecting our country. And we also want to bless their families, all of the survivors who are here as a result of the greatest sacrifice that their family member made. Now, this is the 4th Sunday of our theme, Curiosity. And so we have this affirmation that we like to say together: I live in a world of wonder. And I know that I'm not the only one feeling that, right? In this particular time and place, I don't think any of us thought we would still be cocooning at the end of May when this all originally happened. And in fact, there isn't anybody I know that has a date set for when they're going to be actually gathering in large groups in their churches. And so we have this feeling of wonder about what is going on around us and what is going to become of all of this. And so because we've had all this time to be cocooning, my son Matt and I actually got into the garage last weekend and started going through some of the boxes that have been there since Ray and I moved into that house a number of years ago. And one of the things that we ran across, my husband was a collector of things, and one of the things that we ran across were these articles, original newspaper articles and Time Life magazine covers from JFK's assassination, from 2001, the 9/11 incident, and then we found this one of Princess Di, when Princess Diana died. And I began to wonder about that. I began to think about that because she was so loved, and it seemed so suddenly tragic because she was in the prime of her life when that happened. And I began to wonder, was it the overzealous curiosity of the paparazzi that actually caused that car accident? We don't really know what, and we probably will never know that. But I also began to wonder, what will people decades from now say about what we're going through today? How will people look back on this time of our lives, which is unprecedented in so many ways? What is it that people will say about that? I would like for them to be able to say something about how we made such progress as a country in learning how to love each other more, learning how to be present, learning how to slow down and be that love of God that we came here to be. I would like for us to be looked upon as having made leaps in our spiritual progress. I was reading in the Make Kindness Contagious again about an example of what is going on in our world. There is this crane operator, you know, the guy who lifts up these things so that people can paint and clean windows and all that. He has this huge machine, and it's not really being used in Belgium, so he had this divine idea. And he began to offer his services to lift family members up to see their mom and pops in the upper levels of the nursing homes because they can't come down and be together. And the pictures that they took of the seniors inside and of the family members outside looking through these windows way up like on the 3rd and 4th floor from this crane, the joy on their faces was magnificent. What a sweet thing. I would have never thought of that as a way to do that connection of the heart, to show the love. Often when we ask the question, how can I love more? Underneath that underlying question is, how can I understand more? Because we are all so different. We all have differing world views. We come in here into a certain socioeconomic status, and we have different education, we have all different places that we came from, we have all different religions that we were part of. We have different horoscopes, we have different Enneagram numbers. There's any number of ways that you can look at how different we are with our worldviews. And so we have a tendency to hang around with people who have the same worldviews, quite frankly, because it's easier to love them, because it's easier to understand them, right? But then there's those other relationships where we sort of run into a wall with these people who have differing worldviews, who see things entirely different, and who are very adamant that the way they're seeing it is the right way. So I'm telling you, I believe that this is a call for love. And right now in this time when we're reaching out to distant family members and people who do have different ways of thinking, it's a really good time for us to take time to get to understand their points of view, to come to some understanding, even if it's we agree to disagree, but we still can love each other no matter what. The more we understand, the more we can feel that love that connects us all. So I believe that when you're seeking to build understanding with these ones, the important thing is to start with a pure intention. To just say, I'm going to be able to understand this one that I have not been able to understand most of my life. I'm going to make an intention that I'm going to understand. I had an incident this week that really, truly opened my heart. I got a call from a congregant who volunteers with the Guardian Ad Litem program, and she has a 17-year-old girl whose 47-year-old mother passed away. Her father was in a head-on motorcycle accident and is in a nursing home with 24-hour care, so she's basically in foster care now. And so this guardian said that this girl really wanted to have the ashes of her mother blessed by someone. And so she took the ashes to her grandmother's church, and they refused to bless her mother's ashes. And I'm hearing this on my phone, and I'm almost crying because I'm like, who could refuse this 17-year-old girl? So I told the congregant, I said, you just tell me when you want to do it, and we'll be at the church. We're going to do a little service for her. And so on Wednesday, the girl, her boyfriend, his friend, and the guardian and I stood in the beautiful gazebo with the butterflies all around us, the gardenias blooming, the butterfly weeds in full bloom. And we stood there and we blessed her ashes. And it was truly a heart-opening thing for all of us that were there. It was such good closure, and we had a nice discussion afterwards about life after death and that we never really die and that she'll always be a part of that love because that love never leaves. It was just such a wonderful experience. So today, we're in scripture that you're familiar with. It's 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not reached perfection in love. It's that reminder that that love of God that is in us is unconditional, that there is never any separation between us and the love of God, and even when our folks move into the next experience of living, there's still no separation. We still feel that love, no matter what is going on. Because whoever lives in love lives in God, and God lives in them. And God is in everybody all the time. So this is how love is made complete. Because in this world, we are like Jesus. We are here to be the expressions of love, to be the expressions of God. And he taught us all of those things that we need to do to know that perfect love drives out fear. Because fear is only an absence of love, isn't it? So anyone who suffers from inferiority or self-concept issues or self-esteem issues or anything like that, hearing these words is like hearing medicine. It's like medicine for the soul. Because it's that love that's going to save us from ourselves, from our negative self-talk, the way that we talk to ourselves sometimes. So what is it that we're afraid of anyway that keeps us from being the love that we came here to be? What is it? Is it a fear of we're going to get hurt if we love too much? Is it a fear of death or a fear of the afterlife or just a fear of being hurt? Or maybe we're afraid of the future because we don't know what it holds. So how is it that we get to experience perfect love that casts out fear? Well, I think it's all through the Gospels. Jesus is teaching about love always, especially in 1 Corinthians when he talks about love is patient, love is kind, and love never fails, like the song that we heard. But the greatest of these is love. And he showed us how to be that love, to first love ourselves and then love our neighbors as ourselves. Charles Fillmore said it all the time, that love is the greatest healing harmonizer that there ever was, that there's not anything that cannot be healed with enough love. It's so good to know that. Unity has a new booklet, The Heart of Healing, and it has a lot to do with music. And there's one in here that's a Michael Gott song that Karen Drucker recorded, There Is Only Love. We've sing that song here in this church a lot. There is only love, love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. This beautiful booklet is all about music and healing through the power of music. It's really, really fabulous. I invite you to go online and order your free booklet from unity.org. There is only love. And so, how is it that we can move into this place to build understanding in relationships that have felt perhaps strained or indifferent? How do we build understanding into that so that we can feel more love for these people that are different than us or who see things differently than us? We have to be totally present, don't we? This is a great opportunity right now to see each soul in its human form with all of its own challenges. We all have our own stories. To just sit with people, whether it's on Zoom or your telephone or your grandpad or whatever that you're using to connect with people, or even in small groups where you're gathering 6 feet apart, to be curious about other people, to ask questions, welcoming yourself to be invited into their world so that you can understand what they're thinking and how they're thinking about, seeing differently. One of my favorites is, will you please tell me more? And just invite the question and be a good listener. Because when we do that for people, we're giving them such a tremendous gift of being present. Our love can be felt in that moment when we allow that deep connection with others. So, in the May issue of the Science of Mind magazine, Ernest Holmes is also talking about love is the greatest healer. And he is telling us that there are psychologists that say that there are 4 adjustments that we need to make in order to move into that place where we're living from that place of being love and being able to be that which we came here to be. And so he says the first adjustment is the adjustment of self. Now we know this one. This is basically principle 2. It's to claim our divinity. It's to know who we are, why we came here, what our purpose is, to be that light of God that we came here to be, to express God in and through us as much as our consciousness can possibly allow, to know that we are the individualized expressions of God and that absolutely no one can do what we brought in with our own spiritual gifts and talents. No one can do what just we as an individual can do. So adjustment of self is the first one. The second one is adjustment of family. Now for many of us, this is sometimes the biggest challenge. And in this particular instance, he's not talking about just our physical family. He's talking about our church family, our work family, those people that we are in continual contact with. And basically what we do is what we know already in principle, is that we see the divinity in everyone. We see that everybody is on their own path, doing the best that they can with the information that they have at the current time. In other words, we have compassion for people in our family. And we have to watch and make sure that we aren't expressing our frustration with them, that we're not suspicious. You know what I mean? If we're antagonistic, they feel it in our energy. Through the phone, through the internet, through the text. If we have snarkiness, they will feel it in our energy. And so we get to monitor that. And we get to remember, everybody's a child of God. And even if their words don't sound like what we would like to hear, we can change the way that we see it and see the divinity in all. Because those people that push our buttons are our greatest teachers. They're the ones that are helping us grow more spiritually, more quickly than anyone else. We chose these ones to come and help us learn these lessons more quickly. When we can deal with these people, we are raising our vibration. We are raising our consciousness when we can begin to use this adjustment of family. The third one, and this is what I hope we're learning now, is the adjustment of society. It's because we need to see the whole world as it is, as striving to move forward, because we need to learn together to live together in peace and harmony. And we know that we have not been doing that. We know that why we're having this adjustment period now. It's a reset button so that we can really pull apart for a while and witness and see what we've been doing to each other, what we've been doing to our planet. And we are seeing change and healing taking place. Well, a long time ago, Franklin D. Roosevelt said that all people should have these 4 freedoms: speech, worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. And so that's what we're moving forward in now. We're trying to be able to see things differently and see the good and be able to claim the good in all that is unfolding. And the 4th one is the adjustment of the universe. Do we believe that fate is against us? Or do we feel that the universe has our back, that we are constantly being supported and guided and directed? It's impossible to live happily unless we believe in the integrity of our own soul, if we know that we are eternal beings, that presence of God is in us and it's in everyone always. And not only must we believe in our soul, but the fact that it is immortal, and so is everyone else's. This belief serves to diminish fear and focus on the love that we are. You see, faith is natural. Fear is not. Fear is not natural to us. How many of you have seen that movie with Matt Damon and Emily Blunt called The Adjustment Bureau? Oh my gosh, if you haven't seen that, you need to download that movie or find it on Netflix or something, because it is amazing. The Adjustment Bureau is about Earth-type angels who are walking around with iPads and monitoring each one's progress on their path, their sort of predetermined path that they're supposed to be going on. And you see, Matt Damon falls in love with Emily, and that's not good for him. That is not what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to run for political office, and she is a distraction, a major distraction. And so the whole thing is about how they keep trying to get together, and the Adjustment Bureau keeps adjusting them to keep them apart. It is an amazing thing, because what happens is, of course, love wins in the end. Love always wins, no matter what. And even in this, where all these people are trying to keep them apart, they end up finding a way to be together. And I think that's because we choose love. We choose love. We consciously want to choose love and be love every way that we can. So now it's time for a joke. Sunday after church, a mom asked her very young daughter, "What was the Sunday school lesson today?" And she said, "Oh, that's easy. It was don't be scared. You'll get your quilt." And she was like, "What? I'm not familiar with that lesson." So within the next day or so, she ran into the pastor and she asked him, "What was the lesson for Sunday school on Sunday?" And he said, "Oh, I know. It was, do not be afraid. Thy comforter is coming." I thought she had it right, actually. I want to close today with a piece that Emmett Fox is writing in the 10 Commandments, and this is about the Sabbath, which I sort of believe is what we're going through now. We're sort of in the Sabbath now, and so I thought this was so fitting for us. He says, "The shortcut to the presence of God is to fill our hearts with divine love for everybody, particularly people or things that we do not like. The shortcut to power in prayer is to fill our hearts with divine love. The shortcut to happiness is to fill our hearts with divine love. The sure and certain way to overcome fear is to empty the heart of fear by filling it with love. Because if we were filled with love, as Jesus was, of what should we be afraid? And so it is. And so we choose love. Amen. Now is the time in our service when we get to give from our good back into the community. So I invite you to take your tithes and offerings in your hand, and we'll bless them. And if you're watching online, if you'll click that donate button, we would be most gracious for that. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so. And so it is. Namaste, everyone.